start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Bill, want to lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Let's start off by looking at some minutes.
Okay. I'll take that on. I'd like to make a motion to approve the non-public meeting minutes for June 13th.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Sorry.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'll make another motion to approve the regular meeting minutes from June 13th.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's it for minutes. All regular meetings of the Select Board will begin at 5 p.m. The Select Board will meet on the following dates, Monday, July 11th and the 25th. If any work sessions are needed, it'll be included in the regular meeting. All meetings are held up here in the Town Hall and by Zoom, and the Zoom information can be found on the town's website at plymouth-nh.org. Any citizens wishing to be listed on the Select Board's agenda should notify Town Hall before noon, the Friday before the scheduled meeting. Town offices will be closed on Monday, July 4th for the observance of Independence Day. Okay, no chairman's comments, but we do have correspondence. So we have a letter from Dennis Winders, which is a resignation from the Plymouth Energy Commission. Subject is Energy Commission resignation. To whom it may concern, effective immediately, I will be resigning from the Plymouth Energy Commission. Thanks for the opportunity to be a part of the PEC, and thank you, Grace, for all your work along with the rest of the group. Great. Grace was here. Best, Dennis Winders. Do we have to accept resignations?
Yes.
All right, make a motion to accept the resignation from the Plymouth Energy Commission for Dennis Winders.
I'll second.
Oh, crap.
You can have it.
No, go ahead.
I thought it was every other.
Mary Ann seconds. Any discussion?
I'd like to say that once he resigned, I know Grace is very actively trying to recruit additional members as well.
I was going to ask what's the membership count at?
There's quite a few. You know, there's probably like, there's at least 6.
Okay, so this isn't going to leave her in a situation where it's like 2 people carrying the load over there.
No, there's a lot going on, so they want to.
More people, though, would be good. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The stapling's going to confuse me. Okay. All right, on to new purchase orders. Joe, DA White excavating Bartlett Road reconstruction.
Hi, Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah, so we got a purchase order to secure the job for Bartlett Road. So this is the bond which will secure that project. Which I don't know if it got overlooked or it just didn't happen when we put it out to bid, but it's in place now. That's where I'm at with it, so. There was a lot of work that went into it, so it's above me as far as how it came into play, so as far as money wise, but that's what it is.
Anything?
Didn't we already approve it in lieu of a bond?
You
we
did.
obtained? Yeah.
But we didn't have a purchase order for the entire cost.
Okay.
So this added to that.
Right, the additional encumbrance for the
Right.
bond.
Okay.
Anything else we need to know about this, Ann? That
No, we're good.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the purchase order for the sum of $10,474 for Bartlett Road.
second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Oh, Diane, you've got a whole list of things for us.
Hey.
Let's start with prep contractors.
Now, do you guys have the purchase orders with all the information?
Yes,
Okay.
I think we do.
So I think on your agenda information it says 15,600 for power washing. So they're going to do a little more for us than that. They've actually done that. It's the power washing, and they are scraping and caulking, and they are going to paint as well. Anybody who's been by the building lately knows that we are badly in need of this. I have some visual aids for anyone who needs this information.
It's time.
It's
Yep.
overdue. So that is our first purchase order to have that done for the library building. Obviously, it's not the entire building. We do have some of that brick facade, so just the wooden areas.
How did you come to select prep contractors for this job?
That's a very interesting question. I don't know if you've tried to call any painters lately, but they don't call you back. So Prep was the contractor that called us back. And attempts to call other contractors were quite fruitless. So Prep called us back. They came over, they did a site visit, and they wrote up this estimate. So this was the one person or the one place that was responsive to us.
How many others did you call?
I called 3 others.
Over what period of time?
Over a couple of months. We waited because I wanted to be sure that we would have this money in the budget. And I guess everyone is too busy to make a phone call. I did actually get one person back that did call and say they no longer do exterior work.
Hmm.
So I lied. I did get one call back. She told me that.
Any other thoughts or questions for Diane?
Not specifically.
How long will it take them?
Well, the power washing process is already going on, and I'm assuming that they are going to be done over the course of the summer. Yeah, they're squeezing us in between jobs. They said that they are very straight out, but they didn't expect that it would take them that long once they got going. Their signs are out in front of the building.
Of course. They
I
like
think this
those.
is a positive sign. They
Yeah.
don't want people thinking they're doing shoddy work or slow work. So they're taking credit for it already.
Well, I would make a motion to expend $15,600 for the library's power washing, and other scraping and such as required.
Second.
We'll also need a waiver on the competitive bid because of the price.
Okay, and then also that the requirement for three bids be waived in this case.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Sounds good.
Next up, we have our roof tape job. We did get 2 bids on this one from Brian Weeks Electric and one from Donahue Electric. Now, this is a scenario that does come up every year that we get snow, which, you know, is pretty much every year. So with a normal amount of snowfall, we get this lovely little bed of snow on that kind of second roof on the hill on Russell Street. But then when we get a significant snow, we get this snow pileup that turns into an ice dam. And then, unfortunately, we get sometimes this scenario, which if you're going to have a leak in the library is the best scenario because it just leaks into the closet. But it's still unfortunate, and we'd like to prevent that from happening. So it's this installation of a heat tape. When I was a kid, we called it heating cables, and it's this
It melts the ice.
It melts the ice, basically, and it's controlled inside, and you can plug it in, and it will melt the ice off the roof and prevent the damming and the backing up, is the theory, and prevent us from having this problem again. So the library trustees, they took a look at these two estimates. There's only about $500 between the two, and Brian Weeks actually did the, excuse me, the LED project install here and at the library a couple of years ago in 2019, and they decided Brian Weeks, who was the lower cost.
We like lower cost.
At all costs.
Make a motion that we expend $3,900 for installation of heat tape on the library dormer, or whatever, the damming up on the, whatever section of the roof that requires a heat tape. And also a waiver of
Oh, you're under the price,
Yeah,
oh, never mind.
so you're good.
I was gonna second.
Oh man, Ted almost corrected me too. All right,
So you seconded, Ted?
Second.
Any discussion?
Is this work guaranteed by them? Is this
Guaranteed to,
actually work, or is this any other options available?
well, between the two companies, they came up with basically the same plan. So I don't know if they can guarantee that it's gonna work. It was the same plan between two different contractors. So I am hoping that that seems to be the agreed upon plan to make that sort of thing work.
Does that section of the roof get like roof raked as well? Does somebody?
We do usually get it roof raked. We've tried those little pucks of ice melt, throwing those out there. I mean,
Yeah.
if it's out there, I think we've tried it at this point.
So you've never had this before?
The
You've,
heat tape,
yeah.
we have not. We've been kind of looking for a solution. We've had, the snow shoveling, we've had the roof raking, we've had, when it gets warmed up, it will all melt onto the Russell Street sidewalk, which then it will refreeze and kind of create this skating rink scenario which is fun for everyone. So I'm hoping that this will alleviate at least some of that when it comes pouring down. And
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
aye.
Any opposed? And then Creative Bug.
Creative Bug, which is sort of a funny name. Creative Bug is this craft database, which is a bargain by online database standards. It only costs $500, and I don't work for the company. But it is, the parent company is Joanne Fabrics.
I'm sorry, that was,
I was finding it. Sorry.
So over the course, things have sort of changed after the pandemic. When the pandemic was going on, people really wanted things where they could do all their research online, but we found after doing the statistics that that's really fallen off. So we're kind of reassessing. And what people want now, apparently through a survey that we're doing currently, people keep saying they want craft things, they want creative things. So this was a really good bargain. We trialed it ourselves, and it seems to be a big hit. It's actually up and running now. Anyone who wants to try it out should give it a whirl. It's a video tutorial thing people put in their library cards, and they can watch these really calming video tutorials of these instructors doing craft projects. It's everything from home and garden things to more hardcore like knitting things, and it's $500.
And that's unlimited use,
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
simultaneous users. There's no copyright restrictions, so if you wanted to use it to teach a class, they don't have a problem with you doing that. So it's actually really useful for us. So we could actually use it to do a program, although I think most of the reason that people come to the library to do things is so that they can interact with people socially. So to just put it on and leave the room, I think is not why people come to the library. But we could if we wanted to. So, or we could watch it and kind of instruct people along, but to be honest, I don't know if any of us at the library are that crafty that people would want to see us do it instead. But
Bill,
we could
is
do
that
it.
something you
Yes,
want
Bill, come on
to lead
over.
on?
I could do that.
You can lead the way. was the $500 for Creative Cloud.
Well, I'm not gonna make a motion. so-
No, you're not going to do it? Tad'll do it.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the $500 for Creative Bug.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Sounds like a great program.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Kids and adults, sorry.
Aye.
Aye.
Next, we have our three-tier oval display table from Demco. Demco does library furnishings and shelving and that sort of thing. They really do, they and a few other companies really have the market cornered on all things library. It's a niche market. I have to say the actual cost of the table itself is not the thing that's a killer, it's the shipping to us.
I was noticing
They
that.
wanted to bring, if we wanted to have it brought inside the building, they charge us even more. So that is the thing that's really the killer with the price, which is unfortunate, but none of us want to drag it up the Russell Street Hill, so that's the unfortunate part about this price. We have noticed that in the past few months, our physical circulation of items has fallen off, and our digital circulation of books and audio has really blown up, which is great. It's great to have that digital circulation up. But now we kind of want to even it out a little bit, and we're looking to have like forward-facing materials so that it will grab people's attention when they come in the door. So we thought this would be a great way to do it. So that's what we're hoping to do with this display table.
So, is this something you can only buy through Demco? Is it
So
a
there's,
regular table?
I know.
Or?
The weird part is, it's like they really have it figured out. It's not a very swanky thing, but it's all at the right height, and they know how to angle everything. I mean, they really have it. So it's this company. It's a company called Broadband. I mean, it's kind of like, you know, they kind of have the market cornered on catering, especially to what libraries need, and they know how to really charge the amount that's sort of ridiculous.
Yeah.
for
Did we talk
us.
to the other company for a quote?
We do. We look around and we see, so there's Broadart, there's Demco. They're all going to be like right around the same price. They might look a little bit different. So we have talked to all the companies and we've seen what they have. They're about the same. They're not wildly different. They all have ridiculous delays in shipping right now. So it's not wildly different. This had the color we liked the best. This had the shelves.
I think we'd
just-
prefer in the future to actually see those other quotes. Not that we're not, it's just from a paperwork perspective to see all the quotes.
Okay.
It would be great.
Should I? So, is this maybe a point to mention that technically I think by statute that the trustees have the say and financial governance of the library? I realize that you have the
So I was gonna ask you about that, actually.
you
What-
have the actual say over how much we get per year, but the general governance of what we do, not to
Yeah, it's okay.
at the library is actually entirely the
Or you're the
yes,
trustees
the,
now?
the library trustees.
The trustees pretty much already do this and
They
kind of,
did.
yeah, okay.
They did. I think if you wanted to curtail the budget or something like that, that would be a thing that you could do as the select board. But in terms of making the decisions for the library, that is something.
These are carried over funds.
They are.
So you have 23,000 left over.
So I'll show you part of the reason for it. Part of it was because we restructured our staffing, and one of the people that we hired into somebody that had a family plan is a single person, so we have a significant amount of money left over with that. And this this was free software. This is some of the reason that we have money where we normally wouldn't have. We really pursued aggressively some of the funding that came about as a result of ARPA funding and SHARP funding, which is like an offshoot of ARPA. And YLLA is Young Ladies Library Association, which is our
Thank you.
civic friends organization group. So as you can see, things that we normally would have had to spend money on, and some of these were one-shot deals because they are ARPA related and COVID related, we were able to get a significant amount of funding that we probably will never see again. So that is why we have this
Let's pray for that, okay?
bonus, not the epidemic, but that is why we have a bounce that we probably won't see again, and or hopefully not in this manner in the future. And I hope to aggressively pursue grants again in the future. But if you're wondering why we just have all this money lying,
Oh, I was.
yeah,
And Doug Grant is now a trustee,
he is. He is now the chair of the trust.
so he used to be on Transport Central. I'm sure he'll be very careful in how you spend your money.
He likes to have a lot of data. You'll like him.
He does, yeah.
So if that helps explain. So, and for what it's worth, to everyone, they also like to see quotes and know what they don't just say, go pick things out. And
Yeah, no, I assumed you did all your
Yeah.
due diligence. Cool.
Newfound cleaning. They are our current.
Sorry,
cleaners.
Diane, we
Oh,
didn't.
I'm sorry.
We didn't actually approve that one.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
So, we didn't get a motion.
I make a motion. Oh, wrong one.
Do you want me to do it?
Sorry, no, I make a motion that we approve to Demco the three-tier oval display table for a total of $945.99.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now you can proceed.
Thank you. So the window cleaning estimate that I got, and I haven't accepted this quote yet, but this is the cleaning company you guys also use, Newfound here, correct, for Town Hall? Newfound Cleaning. So we had gotten some estimates for them for carpet cleaning, for window cleaning. We did not have this service performed last year as a cost-saving measure, and so the windows are very soiled, and the screens as well. So they are going to do interior, exterior window cleaning, screen cleaning, the whole service for us, scheduled July 12th and 13th. We've actually blocked off the big meeting room downstairs because we don't want anybody to be using it and have the gentleman in there cleaning the windows while they're trying to have a confidential meeting. But it's in desperate need of having that done. So it's a really comprehensive service, and we really need to do it. Or soon we won't be able to watch the students and all their shenanigans.
You don't want to miss that.
No.
And that's our window cleaner? We use Newfound?
We have.
Okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the window cleaning from Newfound Cleaning for a sum of $16.35.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
The remaining balance in their budget right now is about, or was about 40,000. Less these encumbrances and a few other bills that they have outstanding, they're looking at giving back around 20,000.
It probably won't be that much by the time we're done. That's
So-
still a lot of money.
Yeah, but that's a lot of taxes. So whatever she can give back, she will, is what they're gonna do. They're trying.
We are trying.
Thank you for your
Thanks,
service.
Ann. Before we move on, not about the library, but this is the last week of the fiscal year. How did we do in other
Payroll
departments?
is done, completely done for the year. Actually, it was done last week. Because pay date this year is on July 1st
Oh, okay.
for this coming week. I had sent out an email to the board that I did not bring with me. Right now, we're hoping between the loss in revenue, which is about 400,000, and the gain in unexpended budgets, looking at about 200,000 going back to the unreserved fund balance. Now, we still have a long ways to go. I got 3 weeks, and that can be extreme. So right now, we're looking okay.
Good. Far better than the opposite. All right. I think we don't have any emergency management update. Scott's not even here. So on to PSU and discussion of the shared service agreement. You have extra chairs, right? Don, are you coming alone, or you
Like a more comfortable
bring Tracy and Marlon with you?
This one looks all right. Yeah, Marlon likes those chairs.
Just be careful. You stand up too fast and they flip over.
You don't have to sit so far back that you float.
Yeah, leave him out in the open.
Exactly.
All right. Ask away.
So last time we came in and talked. We had some sort of intro conversations, and the board kind of roughly proposed, nothing official, but proposed doing a 1-year extension on the existing shared service agreement with a small increase for inflation, with the plan to spend a better chunk of time in the coming year thinking through shared services and talking about what that looked like in more detail. That was kind of our first proposal, and then we said, go ahead and think about that and come back to us and tell us what you all think about where we're at.
Sure. We're good with the 1-year extension. Probably not good with the rest of it. I'll tell you why. In fact, Tracy thinks we should have pay less. But that's the CFO view. I can tell you the number of students graduating from New Hampshire high schools is going down. So we're down 170 students so far this year in enrollment. We've had frozen tuition for 3 years, so no inflationary increase. We've had a $1 million increase in utilities. And we've got no additional state funding. So, I mean, it's kind of squeezing a turnip, I guess I'd say. So, the absolute best we can do, and we had a lot of argument about this, was to hold steady on what we got right now. And that is the absolute best. Tracy wanted to cut it. We said, we could do that. That's as far as we can go. Really.
You're not planning inflationary increases on tuition this year?
No, we can't. They've frozen tuition for 3 years.
For 3 years starting this year, or
No, starting 2 years ago. We got
so is this the last year of the 3 years frozen?
But the anticipation is they'll probably
Continue it.
I don't think. We're not going to try to.
But yeah, this is
It's-
the third of 3 years. And that's fees as well, not just.
What we're struggling with is frozen tuition in a time when inflation is increasing. So it's pretty untenable at times, I'll tell you. So anyway, that's where we are. So I mean, we really thought about what we could do. And there's just nothing there.
Do you know of any revenue increases that you might be able to take advantage of, like bring more kids back on students back on campus, or?
Yes, we could do that. We've thought about that. We proposed it as an option for the trustees to look at, because we think that increases retention and kind of takes care of some things on the streets and things like that. So far, we haven't gotten that passed.
What's the current mandatory on campus currently? Is it
It's basically the first 2 years.
first two? Okay, yeah. And what is it that you proposed?
What?
What did you propose to the trustees?
We didn't propose changing that. What we did propose is there's a spot over on, Street. It's off of
Langdon Woods.
Langdon Woods, where we propose putting some apartments that could be used for faculty and staff and graduate students, and maybe even some students. And taking that area that's down by the field that's in between the high school and Plymouth, and leaving it as a field because both of us use it, but putting at one end a sort of a, I don't know, a stage or bandstand so that students could have a place to go when they wanted to do events like the pirate party, unofficial pirate party, and keep them off the streets, because we realize and we don't want to cause any more disturbance than we have to. So, yeah.
The project that you're considering for, considering, I guess, for, staff and also dormitory space, was that a similar project that was proposed by a property owner that wanted to do something similar, like a 3 or 4 story, I don't know, it was like 150 rooms?
I don't know anything about that.
Okay, that was a piece of private property within your property in Langdon Woods. And actually,
Oh, there was
June is sitting here, but
one up in, I forget who that was.
This was
Couple
4 or 5
years-
years ago.
wasn't it like a Stowe property or something like that, or?
Well, who is it owned by? Ram? Is it Ram?
Well,
Yeah,
I guess
somebody
so.
headquartered out in North Carolina.
Something similar to that?
Yeah, yeah.
Multi-story, like,
Now, this would be more like the White Mountain Apartments.
okay.
Or like kind of condo style.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So,
That would be like 2 years in the process, though, perhaps, if you got the go-ahead.
yeah, probably.
Although you did, Langdon Woods or the, what's the other thing?
Merrill Place?
Yeah, Merrill Place in a record time.
Yeah, trustees were in a different place. It's been a rough 7 years, I'd say.
You pulled students back onto campus, all first, second, and third year students?
No, just first 2 years.
First and second?
It depends. It varies a little bit because it also depends on your birthday.
But was the financial incentive to amortize the dorms? Or does it
No,
help
it's
the
just-
operating budget?
It's more the operating budget. We lose a couple $1 million each year on tuition, on fees. Where we get some positives when the housing's full is on housing. So it sort of offsets the education that students get and helps us provide the education we do provide with the limited dollars we've got from the state and from the students.
So third and fourth year students can opt out of living in a dorm?
Yep, they can, and many do. That's where a lot of the students come from, is on the 3rd and 4th years.
And your dorms are full,
They're not right now.
no? You can't require third year students to
We
live?
could. We've been reluctant to do that. Basically, we were reluctant to do it because there's a balance we try to find between the community and our, but we're tempted to sometimes. I'll tell you.
There's that balance between what the landlords,
Right.
putting them out,
Well,
you counted on that.
it's my understanding that the landlords are finding tenants.
Hell, they are. They are. And the more they can find tenants that are not students, the better for all of us, to be honest with you. So that's why we proposed that other facility, because we thought if there was ever a time when the landlords had other options besides students, it was now. So, well, we'll have to see. I just don't know how that's going to go. 'Cause
So what do you think that the climate will look in a year from now? Yeah, and also theoretically, if we either have a new governor or a governor that can be compelled by the legislature to go forward and fund the,
I just hope that the state comes to the point where they realize that if they want higher education, particularly four-year institutions, in Plymouth and Keene, really, that they have to support them. We're getting less money today than we got in 2013.
We were already not getting much money then.
No, we weren't getting much money then, so we're down below we're down at the very bottom, but the next one up and the next one up, and that is considerably more. Like I told you last time when I was down in Massachusetts, they get 23% of their funding. So the state, we get, depending on how, we actually get about 10%. Theoretically, that we get close to 13%, but it's just really tight. So I don't know what the chances are. I've been watching this for 7 years now. I don't know if it's going to get better or not, but it's hard when you know, in 2013 they cut the contribution in half. Then they raised it back up, and they raised it up over years at various times. But where we are now is still, I think, about 20 million short per year of what we got in 2013, 12, at least 10 years ago, yes.
So obviously the university system could never be made whole.
Be very hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what we've tried to do is say, Keene and Plymouth in particular, for the missions they have, need additional support to be all they can be. And I think we do provide a great education, but we also think the state ought to think carefully about what the future of higher ed in the state is going to be.
Interesting, the New Hampshire Business Journal just did a survey last week. We're number 50 in the states that send their students out of state to get education. 59% of New Hampshire students leave New Hampshire to go to college.
Because it's cheaper elsewhere.
It's cheaper outside. It's cheaper to get out-of-state tuition in most of the New England states than in-state tuition in New Hampshire.
It's tough.
Well, I noticed you offered in-state tuition for out-of-states. I don't know how many people actually took you up on that.
The only problem we have with that is our in-state tuition is so much higher than their in-state tuition. So we offer them our in-state tuition for adjacent states, some of them like Vermont, but and Maine, I think.
Yeah, Vermont and Maine.
Well, UVM is kind of expensive.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
seriously, but
Well, it's still that we struggle with that. Yeah, we get a few students from Vermont.
no, the University of New Hampshire takes the lion's share of the funds that actually come to the university system.
Yes, they
Now,
do.
can that at all be retweaked, or is that
Well,
not?
I will tell you that we've been pushing for it.
Really?
Yeah. So far, we haven't had a lot of success with that, but we really say you gotta look at how you're distributing funds given where the needs are within the system. And I think, I think there's discussion. I think it's a very hard thing. Most of the trustees are UNH trustees who already believe that funding goes to the other campuses from UNH, which is not true at all, but still believe. So
Why do you say that? Is there a formula that it should abide by? that it's
people don't
not,
even
or-
know what the formula is.
Okay.
It's just something that was decided in the past before anybody who now lives there or isn't part of the system knows. So it's a very old formula that was constructed. Whether it bears any relationship to what it should be is a whole other matter. I'm sure you can understand that we may disagree with the way it's distributed right now, so.
Shouldn't it be distributed by in-state students?
No, it's not done that way.
Oh, I know it's not done that way, but shouldn't it be?
Roughly at one time, we think it might have been based on that because Plymouth was, at the time, the formula may have been, or it's not really a formula, I guess, it's just more of a distribution approach. At the time, Plymouth was maybe half the size it was, so I don't know. It's just it's hard. UNH doesn't get that much either, so it's hard to divvy up a very small pot, I guess I'd say. So there you have it. So that's why I say, in all honesty, that just to hold it the way it is stretching us to the limit. So, and you're free to look at our books for next year if you would like.
Oh, I don't know.
I did remember you mentioning you'd love to do that on a weekend, right?
Yeah, that's it.
We'll gladly share.
Thoughts from the board?
It's kind of what I expected.
Right, kind of is what it is.
I also kind of expected your CFO to argue that.
Well, she did. She had her figure, and we talked and argued about it. Figured it's best for everybody if we tried to do it. So, but it's a stretch for us.
We're living in unprecedented times.
We are. We definitely are. What is this?
1.2 million, don't worry about it.
How's your contract?
Don't touch
Is that not the right one?
Don't touch it.
the one for signature
Is that the fourth one?
without the inflation.
Correct.
Okay, that should be, yep.
You want to look at it? Since we got the.
Pass it to the CFO.
Yeah, that should just be a straight extension with no price
Looks
increase.
like it to me. So.
There was a question from the audience. I don't know if you want to
Oh, is there?
entertain or.
Yeah, Grace.
I mean, it's really not a question. I know I'm probably going to get eggs thrown at me or something, but I am a taxpayer. We bought land in 2010, and we've really just amazed at how our taxes keep going up and up. And I think there has to be a long-term plan with the nonprofits in town. I'm just for some kind of relief, some point in time. I'm just
Well, as far as
making
I
a
know,
comment.
we're the only nonprofit that pays.
No,
Oh, that's
That's
not
good, yeah.
true.
no, we have a pilot with the hospital.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's a move in the right direction.
Well, that's been for several years.
Okay.
But yeah, I agree with you that other nonprofits should be coming forward as well.
just comment.
Agreed. We agree with you, Grace, for sure.
Yeah, I think we do too.
Do you want to just take it?
You need a pen?
Yeah, we need to take it.
Okay, that's
Because
fine.
they need to look at it, even though it's an extension.
Totally fine. Take it.
Who needs to look at it?
Carol Barton.
Oh, yeah, okay. I would have signed it.
All right. Ann.
So this is effective Friday.
Yes.
So can maybe between Kathy and.
Yeah, who does it? All the board members who need to sign, or just me?
I don't know what it says.
All the board members.
If you sign it, then we could sign it then.
Don and Tracy, and then.
Yeah, we could
all
sign
I'm
it
comfortable
now.
with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But can we
Yeah, well, yeah, I think.
Sign it.
take care of
then
it
hope-
outside of a board meeting as well?
Well, and ideally, if they just plan to get a copy with their side signed back to you by Friday, if we just sign it now.
We do that?
If you could sign it and then you could just scan it to me,
I'll
or
scan
you
it
can
to you.
scan it to me, then I can get it to her quicker.
Perfect.
Yep,
Thank you.
that works.
And I'll just say, we do not pay the bills at Plymouth anymore, so I know July 1 is on there, so I'm just saying it might be 30 days, just letting you know ahead of time.
Did you want to make a motion for
Do
it?
the bills still come to you,
Motion.
Tracy?
Yes, okay.
They
Yeah.
just-
And then we just scan them down to them.
Need a motion.
I'll make a motion to move forward on the extension of the life safety services agreement between the town of Plymouth and Plymouth State University pursuant to approvals by legal on the university side and our signatures henceforth. I don't know. I'm winging it.
For those who are listening and not seeing the agreement that's in front of us, Plymouth State pays us $400,000 annually as part of this agreement.
A second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Well, hopefully it all gets signed well on your end. Please let us know if there's any issues right away so we can get things squared away.
We will.
Any other questions for Plymouth State folks while they're here?
Hope your enrollment goes up.
We do too.
I know it's not a question.
Well, it's just, if we can get the number of students coming out of the high schools up, I think that'll help. And a lot of students this year, because I think the challenges their family face, particularly in the North Country where we've got a lot of our students, elected to go directly to work, which is, I can understand that. The opportunities are great in the
Or a community college too, with the
community college.
yeah,
too.
not attracting a lot. So
Yeah, actually more so though to work.
okay.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of our core students, which are kind of, the Pell eligible students, who, have been offered $22, $23 an hour. And they
Well-
made that decision.
Well, it's hard because a lot of the pandemic, their families were out of work and they work too. So it's tough on them.
I understand that Pell Grants are gonna be increased.
That's the rumor. I haven't seen anything yet, but yeah, I heard that rumor too. Sometimes we talk about it for a while, but yeah. And that does help too. Does help us. All right, well, thanks all.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right, appreciate the opportunity.
Good
Good
day.
seeing you. You guys too. I'll leave this chair here for the next part.
With that, takes us to Joe and Dave Jeffers.
Dave might be on Zoom.
Dave is on Zoom. So this is about the road surface management study overview.
Yes. Yes. And I believe that you, as a board, received copies of this road surface management document.
We did, yes.
Can I, let me see if I can share my screen. Can I share my screen?
If
Yes.
grant permission.
I'm sure he can hear you. Should be able to. Joe, can you ask him to share screen? If you just open that door?
Enable screen sharing.
That should be able
You're all set, Dave.
Okay, great. There, can you see
Yes,
this?
confirmed.
Good, good. So, oh, pardon me. This is, I need to minimize this a little bit. Go out presentation mode. So RSMS, Road Service Management System, is a system whereby, is that still visible?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. It's a system for assessing the pavement and forecasting what sort of natural deterioration there will likely be, what the pavement maintenance, repairs, and associated costs could be, and based on that based on those repairs, what sort of life extension that would give to the pavement. It can be used as a planning tool for scheduling and budgeting. work on that pavement. Can be used to illustrate pavement conditions because it has a mapping component. Now the focus is on the overall pavement, the overall network of pavement. It's not a project-specific tool usually, and it addresses pavement only in its forecasting. It doesn't address drainage, sidewalks, curbing, and other infrastructure. Although those are very important elements, and something that needs to be coordinated. And I recognize that that your planning department and Joe and the water and sewer are all working on doing some of that coordination. So we were asked you had us come in last summer. We assessed, we had crew out assessing, driving all the roads, all the paved roads in town several times. And on quarter-mile segments of each quarter-mile segment of road, they were assessing seven or eight different conditions, both for their severity and the extent. That database, those factors were then compiled and generated a pavement condition index, a rating from 1 to 100 for your various paved roadways. And these are municipal paved roadways. It's not state roads, it's not private roads. And it is focused on paved roads. You've got about 28 miles of paved municipal roadway. We then worked with your road agent, Joe, and for each segment, he went through and looked on a scale of 1 to 5, the local importance and the local volume. And that formed our priority scale, again, on a 1 to 100 scale. We do also record information about frost heaves and comments that are seen while the crew is out there. They can address that. And this is all within a system, a statewide data assessment, a data exchange system was set up in a partnership between New Hampshire Department of Transportation, the Regional Planning Commissions, and UNH T-Squared Technology Transfer Center. And they maintain the database and keep updating the program. So we did those assessments and we came up, here is a map of the pavement, and the network PCI was the 56 out of 100. And
your display isn't changing. Are you showing us something?
You should have
We still have the face plate where it just shows the road and your.
Oh, I'm sorry. My screen sharing is paused, it says. Resume the share. Is that?
Much better.
Much better.
Better?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Thank you for speaking up. So here are the various factors that I was going over. These factors create your PCI, and they're measured in terms of severity and extent within each quarter-mile segment. You've got your priorities local importance and local volume. The map here indicates the condition. On this map, black and purple are your highest quality roads in terms of pavement, and green and the darker green are the poorer quality. This will zoom in a little bit more. And so there are definitely stretches of roadway that have very, very good condition surface, and other areas where it needs a lot of work. It needs work. And I don't think I'm telling you anything new there. Now the individual segments range from a low of 19 up to a high of 98. You've got your very high ones here in black, and some of your very low condition roadways. They actually tend to be more towards the center of town. This program really tries to push tries to get across the message that it's really a good use of funds to try and keep the good roads good. Pavement on its own has a lifespan that may be 20, 25 years. But it's going to deteriorate naturally. But after a period of time, it gets much more expensive per square yard to rehabilitate that. It's a much better use of funds if you do have good road pavement, your dollars will be well spent in keeping those good roads good. So often communities look at their worst roadways and say, oh, we've got to address the worst roadways. And if you keep doing that, the good roadways are going to get past the threshold point at which it really becomes much more expensive. We look at routine maintenance, your chip sealing, your crack sealing, and preventative maintenance, or your crack sealing. Your preventative maintenance, as long as it's above a PCI of 65, you can do some of these sorts of things, maintenance things, to keep it up above that certain level. Once you start getting into rehabilitation, and we're looking at the PCI levels here, pavement condition indexes, you're getting into minor and major rehabilitation, mill and overlay, and into your full depth reclamation. That gets very expensive, and it's only getting more expensive to do that sorts of things. It's not to say that it doesn't need to be done, but it costs much more. So what we did was we took a look at those roadways, where they were in terms of the pavement condition index. There were clearly some roads that have been identified as we're going to do work on these roads, or we're doing work on these roads, or And okay, we tried to work them into the 10-year forecasting plan. And then we made some presumptions. $70,000 annually on pavement maintenance. And a lot of this was done by looking back at some of your records. The $125,000 annually on capital road work through warrant article, $200,000 annually on a specified capital road work through a warrant article. That totals out to about $400,000 a year that was being devoted to work on roads. Now, we made the presumption that that was going to pavement. Truth be told, some of that, it seems like some of that is going to drainage, sidewalks, and curbing. So as you look at some of the numbers in this, it was working on the idea of $400,000 annually on pavement. Also, a presumption that was made in doing this modeling, in the first 3 years, there were definitely some roadways that were identified as full depth reclamation roadways. In the first 3 years, those were some of the work like on Emerson Road, Bartlett Hill Road, that sort of thing. And we used what was one of the higher priced full depth reclamation in terms of doing some reconstruction on those. After that, we utilized a less expensive version of this. You might choose to do something different. A less expensive probably is not going to get you as much lifespan, but it was a way that we could try and get some more mileage out of work that over the 9 to 10 year budget process. And another presumption, while this model does account for inflation, the pricing, the model is being updated this month to 2022 pricing, or in July it's being updated, but UNHT squared had not updated it since 2019. So those were the prices that are utilized for the various treatments are those from 2019. So those are the presumptions that went into this. If $400,000 was being spent annually on pavement alone, and these other presumptions, then yes, the quality of the pavement, and a big if here, that's if $70,000 is going to maintenance type things, activities, keeping the good roads good, keeping those good stretches of roadway good. And the full report does go through each year and identifies actions that are suggested, whether it's a mill and overlay, whether it's these actions were ones that had been indicated that they were the types of things that you've done in the past. And here are two breakouts. And we went start with a starting year of 2022 because we actually started this work in 2021, and we'd seen the work, we'd seen what was being budgeted. So actually in the first year, we actually had it, there was a heavy push on rehabilitate and rebuild in the first few years. But we really tried to work in having crack sealing and preservation and maintenance be budgeted in there to the tune of somewhere in the neighborhood of $70,000 as much as possible. And we were trying to keep it in, as we went along, we were trying to keep in mind what road segments are beginning to fall below, getting ready to fall below those threshold numbers. And so we worked it out so that you could be doing, you see the final number here down at the bottom of about $400,000 a year, tries to level things out, which is what a CIP is looking to do, so there aren't the huge surprises. And this down here, the bottom table looks at, if you had your PCI starts at 56. If you let it go without doing anything, it's going to drop to 46 and eventually 37. But if these repairs are done, the entire network could be improved, and that's what you were seeing with on the previous map with the purple instead replacing some of the green. And this indicates the number of miles of roadway that are being treated. It is a tool. I understand that it can be utilized. Well, it can be utilized as a guide, and I don't know if you've had opportunity to go through in detail, or if you've got questions that I might be able to address.
I have a question for Joe, not for
Yeah.
you, Dave, but
Okay.
how much of you've been involved in this?
Yes.
How much are we currently spending on road maintenance, crack sealing, et cetera, in terms of maintaining the surfaces we have?
We haven't done any crack sealing and like the chip sealing done for a simple reason. In order to do the bonds and all the infrastructure we got, we focused all our money there. We depleted my budget. So his plan will work. Bottom line is, I need funding from you guys to make it work. And I have a plan, I just need some kind of funding to put in place. I have roads, I have a plan of roads and how it's gonna lay out versus my infrastructure. It all comes down to money.
And the numbers that Dave was sharing said that we had 70,000, but that money was going elsewhere, is what you're saying? It wasn't going towards surface maintenance, crack sealing, et cetera?
Well, my 70,000 this last year went for a bond. I didn't have anything to spend this summer. So
For the Main Street project?
for road maintenance. And that was a choice.
No, but where did that money get used?
With Main Street.
For the Main Street project? Okay.
And that was a choice that was given to me. money up, we're not follow through with the grant. So those are some of the hard choices that I'm faced with.
It seems like maybe collectively we all should plan better for those situations, right? If we know we need money to match a grant, we should be not necessarily dipping into our maintenance funds to do that, because it's just going to cause us longer term problems.
I
Can I-
put in for
Please.
money for capital, I ask for money all the time, it's just. that-
We're not, but right now we're not talking about capital. We're talking about taking from the maintenance budget to pay for a bond.
So the South Main Street project originally began as South Main Street and Russell Street, and now Warren Street has been added. We've had a pond that we've had to create. It took on a huge expense when we took on that bond. And we've added to it, added work here. That money doesn't just, we have to find it somewhere.
Oh, I
And
agree.
this project, I'm not quite sure we were 100% ready to take on such a large project, but we have, and now we need to make sure that it's funded. In prior years and future years, we need to make sure that we don't take on projects like that we went from, what, 500,000 or 600,000 originally was our share. We had that money. We're up to now almost $1 million is our portion. The money had to come from somewhere, and that was a priority project. So that's why the money was shifted from,
No, I'm not disagreeing with
Okay.
that. I'm not disagreeing with funding the Main Street project. But was the realization that we needed that additional money, did that all come since town meeting?
no, this is all money. He's not talking about the money for 2022, 23. He's talking about the money.
Current year.
Current year.
Yeah. So, but it's all since town meeting 2021. That's all.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
all of those
Yeah.
are new
We've taken
discoveries.
on all that extra work and agreement to do all that since that March 21 meeting, yes.
So in our new budgets, I think I'm speaking for more than just my department, but we're looking to establish different funds, different avenues. So there's, when we do get a bond, we have some money set aside that can help us with that instead, an offset, instead of depleting my whole budget.
Yeah, I guess just part of my head is, we're thankfully looking to end the year at plus 200,000, but we didn't do any road maintenance this year, which means all of our roads, according to this plan, all of our roads.
You did. You can't say you didn't do any.
We didn't do any out of that $70,000.
We didn't do any of the preventive.
To be clear, we didn't do any road maintenance. That's what Joe said. We didn't crack seal any roads. We
Boulder
didn't
Point.
chip seal any roads.
You did Boulder Point. you
Boulder
just did
Point
that.
isn't that a private road that was paid for differently?
We do culverts,
Yeah.
we do all that.
Not, but I'm talking, if that $70,000 is for road surface maintenance, we didn't do any road surface maintenance this year.
That money's not designed for all of that. That money is the overall
Maintenance,
for that,
potholes.
everything that we do, which is.
All miscellaneous
which
road
is a
stuff.
Slap in the face, if you want my opinion, because it doesn't go very far.
Yeah. Well, even less far if apparently it's, being robbed to do other things.
So what we're saying is basically we need to have a set aside of that 70K roughly
If
for the
this
specific purpose of maintaining the roads.
if this plan is something we're going to proceed with.
Well, even if we don't do it, this plan specifically, we need to set aside for that preventative maintenance.
So I believe that Dave's plan is a good plan, and it's been around for a while, and I've been aware of the plan, and I think this department it's not a new plan, it's just one that we've just decided to take on. And because the people are asking, where's our money going? So Dave put this together, this is all surface management. So between what I have, the infrastructure is what's killing us right now. Before I took over, we did absolutely no infrastructure. We would just go out and we would pave and just cover up all our sins. And I put a stop to that because the in-town was failing at such a high rate that I refused to just pave over something that was failing. And you can go look at all the stuff that we've done. We've done the drainage, we've done it right, and those roads have held up. So we've gone from just overlaying roads to infrastructure. So we tripled our budget by doing it the right way, but we haven't figured out how to get to that point to pay for it.
Right. And we're falling behind.
So I believe, Dave's in a good place with that, and I can make his plan work. I just need it to be funded. I think
Yeah,
it's Dave, unless you have questions.
And it was clear, I mean, Plymouth is in a unique situation in a lot of ways. Partly rural, partly urbanish town center, and obviously there's the relationship with businesses and university and state roads coming through and whatnot. But in some ways you're unique that way. In other ways, there are other towns throughout the Lakes region with similar sorts of situations, and situations where there's been deferred maintenance. Just as one example, in terms of, I mentioned the distinction between pavement and the various other infrastructure, whether you've got sidewalks or curbs or the all-important drainage. You gotta address drainage in one way or another. But for the project on Emerson Street, looking at the numbers, more than 50% of that, what is being paid for, at least in the quoted work, is that other stuff, not pavement, curbing, sidewalks, drainage. So thinking about the sort of scale, if half in the in-town work, doing work out of town, you gotta address the pavement. Obviously there may not be sidewalks or curbing.
So these figures that you've put together, they don't include, as you just said, curbing, sidewalk, things like that. So
Correct.
a guesstimate for how that affects, or can you even give that guesstimate for the numbers you've given us? So is 70K enough?
For pavement maintenance,
For pavement
Some-
maintenance, and then also the rehabilitation and rebuild numbers. They're
that's
going to be
where-
much greater.
That they'd be much great. Yeah. I mean, they would be greater, and that's why we utilized. I mean, to focus just on pavement, and if you're looking just at pavement in the $400K range, Emerson, I think, is probably an extreme example. We didn't have a lot of example works, quotes to work from, but, if you're looking at your wrapped up budget, yes, I would put I'm ballparking, it could be a good deal higher than that 400,000. Our focus, again, is just on the pavement.
So Joe, your plan, is it all encompassing, or does it just use the numbers that Dave has provided?
Talking to me?
Yeah, Joe, sorry.
Sorry.
So the figures that you've got in your plan, is it all encompassing? Or is it just hit the pavement?
With his plan, I can use what he has, and so when I do my work, I can take his road surface numbers and apply them to the rest of my job. And so, like, what I've come to realize is that we have such a great rate of failure, but at some point I need to slow that rate down and work on some of the other maintenance roads. And so I have to strike more of a happy medium. And a lot of that is based on infrastructure. So I can take some of his priority roads that don't have infrastructure and start working on them and just working on the list, you know, so again, it's a good tool and there's a lot of direction to move forward.
Thanks, Joe.
Any other questions from the board for Joe or Dave on this topic?
Not at the moment. Not at the moment.
I feel that Dave Jeffers has an excellent plan, and it should be a priority.
Yeah, I mean, I'll admit, flipping through the plan, we used Emerson as an example a couple of times, and in this plan, that's delayed out to 2025, which I understand, you know, funding, but that road is so failed.
It's actually on the 2022 year. initial
Oh, okay.
record.
No, you're right. You're right. So that's the. Okay, I didn't see it there. So 2025 is just a chip seal.
102,760 is just for
Yep.
the surface.
All right, I see it now. But that's just the surface. That's not the full sidewalks and infrastructure underneath.
The drainage system has failed.
Right, which is why that road is so failed.
And why it's being put off too, to leave the whole thing.
Okay. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Joe.
Okay,
Thank you, Dave.
now we'll touch base, I'm sure. If you have further questions, please don't hesitate to contact.
Absolutely.
We appreciate that.
Okay.
Sure, this is something we use a lot during budget season this year. June, you want to start with the DOT 10-year plan or the downtown drainage project?
Let's do the, since we're talking roads, the 10-year plan.
All right.
I just have a draft of a letter here that sorry I did not get this to you earlier, I just put it together today. So the Lakes Region Planning Commission, actually, should have had Dave stay on here. The state's 10-year highway transportation planning cycle is coming due. This kind of came around, I guess, maybe a little.
David's still on, it's just, his mic's off though.
Oh, he's on there still. Okay, maybe he can help explain a little bit, even though he's not, you're not, David, so much as involved perhaps as other staff at Lakes Region. But if the town wants to pursue getting something into the 10-year plan, the applications are actually due, I believe it's August 1st. But they have asked for a letter of interest by the end of this month. So once I saw these deadlines, perhaps I first missed them, whatever. But this was the meeting. Luckily tonight allows us to get something in. So I did talk to Joe from Highway, and Joseph and I have kind of gone through the files and some things that we've been out there in discussion for 20 plus years. And I just am here tonight as a draft letter with outlining 3 areas where we've seen some concerns around. These have to be on state-owned roads, this funding for it. And again, 10-year plan, the 2-year cycle even to get it in the plan, and then the plan's probably really a 15-year plan. So you're looking, 2035 at best for construction. So the proposals that go in are kind of broad, not a lot of specifics. Then they get vetted through the Planning Commission and voted on and prioritized for the region. So we might not be a top priority in our region. And then the region submits plans on to DOT. I think it's worth trying. We have some information about some of these things that we could work into an application. Again, this is just a letter of interest. If you agreed to this, you could send it in and then never do an application. We may find out more information. This is just kind of a placeholder that they've asked us to do. And allows us, I think, to work more with the Planning Commission staff as we work on kind of developing the proposal over the next month.
So no commitment by
No
putting
commitment
in.
at all,
Okay.
yeah. So the 3 projects are, one is raising Fairgrounds Road. We're at, by the end of this week, we have due a culvert replacement grant application from the ARPA funds for the culvert flood risk program from DES. That we were working on that today. The application's almost done. In conjunction with that, to really properly address that area, raising Fairgrounds Road has been identified before, and that's a state road. So that would be another, a logical one from a public safety point of view to include that. And we have some numbers. I think we can work that one pretty easily into an application. 20 years ago, there was a feasibility study done for South Main Street. Some of the work that's being done, obviously, for the drainage project is addressing the infrastructure, but it's not really changing things. There was talk at one point of a roundabout either by Warren Street or more recently moving that maybe down by the skate park, that kind of area. Again, that would give the town, if that ended up on the 10-year plan, it would also allow 10, 15 years to work on kind of redeveloping that Railroad Square area too, which we've talked about. We need right-of-way. There's no town right-of-way through there, very complex, very expensive, but, it's something, if you don't, that piece on Route 3 wouldn't be, would potentially could be there if we can sell that as, we're going to do all these things in the next 10 years plus that. And then years ago, there was actually this town applied for some changes for the, that kind of the curve at the Armory there. It's kind of a dangerous turn in and out of the Armory. I'm not quite sure what the current plans are for the Armory, but if there was that, to me, that's a nice area for redevelopment in the park, what's now parking areas, but, have other plans over the years. The Forest Service headquarters at one point looked at the parcel just north of the Armory. They moved to Campton instead, but, there's some underutilized land there in terms of parking isn't the highest and best use. But there are probably, some site distance changes, adding sidewalk through there up to Foster Street to kind of connect that development there back into kind of our downtown. So those are sort of 3 things, again, that have been talked about before that we just pulled together as 3 ideas for you to consider.
June, there's a typo in item 3.
Probably. I did this. It's a draft.
Yeah, that second sentence, this project would, just needs
Oh, yeah, improve.
something.
Okay.
I think these are 3 good things to submit.
I'll make a motion to allow June to submit it and Zach to sign it. Apparently.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Looks good.
All right, thanks. Next item.
Update on Main Street.
I sent you a memo just really quickly. We've gotten through all of our EDA sort of legal special award conditions, the site certificate, approval of everything, which I was really happy about. Some of the pieces finally came through last week, which was great. We have gotten, as of last Friday, revised plans and project manual from HEB that addressed all the updates, and we were waiting to get a new revised schedule. We had recent meetings with Water and Sewer and their engineers, so the goal now is to try to get the project out to bid August 1st. That was kind of the consensus of the groups to do that, having a longer bidding period than normal of 45 days roughly, rather than just 30. We could actually bid before August, potentially, August 1 potentially, to even make that longer. That would allow contractors to have a little bit more time in their busy season to put together bids, hopefully for both the town's drainage work and the water and sewer work. So I've gotten all that revised plans to EDA late Friday afternoon. They've wrote today saying that they'd receive it. They're going to review. They had about 20 some odd comments, but we had to give them detailed on page so-and-so is this comment and this page, so they have all that. So I think we're hopefully in good shape to proceed ahead on that timeline. So I just wanted to give you that update.
It's great. Glad that we got our approval on the extension. That part's extra good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jim.
Patricia Breslin is here. Is Patricia here?
She actually.
Or we just have her letter.
Yeah, she sent a letter instead.
Did everybody get a chance to read this letter?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So in summary, Patricia is concerned about speed on Page Street. Currently, the speed limit on that street is 25 miles per hour, which is the lowest legal minimum, if I understand correctly.
Legal maximum.
Minimum.
Oh, minimum.
You cannot lower a speed limit on a road below 25 miles per hour.
Yeah, I think we were saying the same thing.
Yes, lowest legal minimum. She's asking to have the basically her request is to have us lower it. I think I understand her concern here. As far as speed limit changes, though, I don't think there's anything we can do.
Looks like she wants it lowered to 5 miles.
That's
an
what
hour.
it sounds
So
like.
she
yeah.
requested, yes. She requested to lower it to 5. Again, we can't go below 25. Alex, you have some. You just gave us some facts here.
I think the RSA about speed limit,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
but also she had concerns about there's a lot of dogs that live on the street and the dogs run out into the road. But there is an ordinance against that. Dogs can't run into the road. She has some concerns about kids playing on the road. It's illegal for kids to play on the road. It is a very short road. We have put resources out there to run radar, and we just haven't seen the speed. I know this is an ongoing complaint. Blue Chief, they've dealt with it. Maybe that's where that we can lower the speed limit. I know there's a couple, caution signs out there.
I was just going to ask, what's the signing look like? Have some kids at play and those kinds of things.
There is a daycare that's on the street, and she has concerns about, people dropping off kids there that were speeding. I know in the past we've talked to the owner of the daycare. She expressed to the parents like they were concerns, but again, we put resources out there and we just haven't seen the speeding cars.
Mm-hmm.
Alex, how long is that road?
What's that?
How long is
It's
that
not
road?
very long.
Quarter mile?
What do you think?
Yeah, it's a quarter mile at best.
Something like eight houses, something like that, I think, on there.
Yeah, there is.
Let's look at the
So
map.
that complaint's come through my office also. Some of those children playing and the other signs, probably a result of her trying to make her appease her issues.
Mm-hmm.
short of having your kids play in their own backyard. I can't help it with the speed limit sign.
Yeah, agreed.
Can you put a speed bump?
That becomes a problem for plowing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. But
But
speed
you could
bumps
put
can
the
be
seasonal
removed.
removables.
I've seen speed bumps that can be removed.
Yeah.
Has anybody been hurt out there? I mean,
Not that I'm
I hate to only take action after someone's been hurt, but if no one has been hurt, at least that's an or if someone had, that would be an indicator.
Not that I'm aware of. She said that there's been some concerns of hers about speeding vehicles and kids, but I explained to her that kids can't play in the road. I mean, I know they have a basketball hoop that's set up next to the road, but legally, you're not allowed to be playing basketball on a town-maintained road.
Uh-oh.
There's no one else on that road that has a concern about speeding.
Okay. I feel like this has been fully addressed by both departments at this time. Any other comments from the board?
I would concur.
Do you want a letter to go back to her?
Yeah, I think so.
That seems
Yeah, I think we
reasonable.
should.
Manager, or?
I'd be happy to have Kathy send something back if you're comfortable, stating what we've done, that we've monitored, what the police have monitored. They haven't witnessed, speeds in excess of the posted limit, that we cannot reduce the limit below 25, and that there are caution signs there. I don't know if it makes sense to also advise her of, children shouldn't be playing in the roads, dogs shouldn't be in the roads. Those are both things that the law and ordinances prohibit.
I did send Kathy the RSA about speed limitations as well as statute for pedestrian rights and views for taking the road.
Yep.
But also our town ordinance about dogs that have to be at the owner's control, so if, dogs are running on the road, then they are violating our ordinance.
Yeah. Then maybe the next step is speaking to those owners and,
Right, so the
but
first step
again,
of
yeah.
an animal complaint would be a notice to abate, just saying, hey, you're in violation of the town ordinance, and, further complaints would be
Okay. Any other major points that we should make sure are communicated, or are we feel good? Board feels good?
Fine.
All right. Kathy, you feel like you have everything you need?
Yep.
Perfect. Good. Jeff Hale, to discuss broadband on Slate Road.
Good afternoon, evening. Just to preface by, I take it hot seat.
Yes, please. Yes, that's great. We're happy to have you sit with us.
Okay, that sounds great. I see that you have a lot of business behind me, so I'll keep it as brief as possible, especially since my ask has changed from a few weeks ago when I first called this in to your office, to you folks downstairs, and in light of some new information. So you'll recall that I was here back in October with Joyce Weston to express the interest, not just for the, and informally, I'm not here in any official capacity, but informally representing my neighbors, not only on Slate Lane, but on Thompson Farm Road, and any other Plymouth residents who might be considered last mile on broadband. It was at that meeting that y'all made me aware, or I became aware of the initiative in Bristol, which is where and of the existence of that trunk line, that the major broadband pipe coming up the 93 corridor that Bristol took advantage of, and has now grown to the to be the Grafton County Broadband Committee, I believe, and I've made it my business to kind of catch up with what they're doing in their initiatives, and what their mission is, and in doing so, prompted my initial request to attend, to follow up with you all. You may recall that our ask coming away from that first meeting was, only that was really just that, not that the town has any decision-making authority to influence where broadband gets laid, but that you be our advocates at the table when initiatives, a broadband initiative comes across the plate, your plate, as it apparently has recently. So when I called in request to attend this meeting, your clerk was very helpful and told me, this was like 2 weeks ago tomorrow, and said that you had just discussed the New Hampshire Electric Co-op letter from
Yes.
the evening before, and told me that I could watch this meeting, or a copy of this meeting from the 13th, which I finally got around. It wasn't up on your site at that time, but I finally got around to doing it just this morning. Thank you very much, because so as I understand it, what I saw was that you read a letter from the co-op that described their plan to extend broadband, a gigabyte, truly broadband, 1 gigabyte per second of service to all of Plymouth. And you were assuming, questioning that by all of Plymouth, you truly meant all of Plymouth,
Truly meant the last mile, yep.
those of us out on the last mile, whether it be Slate Lane or wherever, and that the timeline that they described, I think, is 18 months or by the end of next year. And you mentioned that the Leominster project by example, where you have firsthand experience that in fact last mile means last mile. So my only question for me and behalf of my neighbors is there something that you could do to just write back to them and confirm that that's the timeline, and that we will see.
The good news, Jeff, is we have at least one representative, maybe two, or two representatives from the co-op on Zoom. So we can get some confirmation on those very specific points right now.
Okay.
Hi, Leo. Hi, Michael. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Our pleasure. Just by way of introduction, Michael Okada, I'm the Vice President of Member Services and Public Affairs for the co-op, and Leo Dwyer is one of our directors on the board of directors for NHEC, and also the chairman of the New Hampshire Broadband LLC. So be happy to answer questions. Leo, I don't know if you want to kick things off.
Yeah.
If not, I'm happy to dive in.
I guess I'll say, if you get electricity, you're going to get broadband.
That's a very succinct way of saying it. The board of directors of the co-op has authorized a project to build out throughout Grafton County, and really we're going to be reaching NHEC members throughout the communities that we serve in Grafton. So as Leo said, we follow our electric distribution system when we build out broadband, because that's the most efficient way to go about doing it. And so if you are interconnected and a co-op member, which we serve all of Plymouth with electricity service, we will be building out fiber optic broadband to your home or business.
So our concern out in the hinterland has been that because we live in a sparsely, the population density on our street, and it goes street by street because our neighbors over on Loon Lake Road have a different broadband vendor, but they have true broadband, that we won't get left out. And what I'm hearing you confirm now is that we won't. If we get electricity by the end of 2023, at the latest, we will see broadband at our house. We are elected.
I could tell you that City of Plymouth gave us a variance for the head end over on our fairgrounds property a couple weeks back, I think, Mike. And I think we have a building permit application in. I'm sitting on my other screen, I was gonna share with you, but I don't think I can. I'm looking at the engineering drawings that go around Loon Lake. So I think you'd be a happy guy.
I'm pretty happy right now. I think you all, and I love being I love the co-op, being a co-op customer. I feel privileged. I thank the town.
The one thing I would say is we are going to be, there's an RFP for a grant program, and we're going to be applying for that, and we would ask for a letter of support from the town of Plymouth to basically no money, just a letter saying we're doing good stuff.
I think that's a reasonable ask.
Yeah, I think that feels like a reasonable ask. I think we can probably make that happen.
And that feels like advocacy. Thank you very much. And I also, just to side comment, that when you talked about it at the last meeting, you mentioned Loon Lake specifically. So thank you.
Appreciate you coming and asking questions.
Thank you.
Since we have the reps on board from,
Yeah.
could I ask a question about,
Please.
are you going to be in competition perhaps, or is this, how are you going to like roll out broadband? Like if Bristol's coming up from Route 3, and are they hitting the same customers or what?
I think we'll build before Bristol. I don't see that happening in the near future.
Okay.
We're working, actually, we have a meeting on Thursday with the Grafton County Broadband Committee to talk about that. Their focus has been a lot on what they call the middle mile. And we believe it's really all about the last mile. And when you build the last mile, you build the middle mile.
I think, well, Nick Coates was describing, or, the fact that they were going to basically deadhead at the town hall, and then last mile would go out from there, but apparently you've got a deadhead at the fairgrounds, at your property.
Well, that's where we're emanating from.
Right.
And, this technology is incredible technology. From the fairgrounds, we can go 30 miles with fiber, just light. No amplification, no electronics. Each fiber can go to 20 or 30 homes. And so the idea of having a deadhead at every town is really, I think, an expensive solution. Plus, the scale of doing it, we're looking at 80,000 members, and that's a small internet business. Looking at an internet, like Bristol's 300, it's a scale business. And I think that's what we're planning to build, is a business to scale.
But I believe the Grafton County Broadband Committee did approve, or they're going to expend the monies of their ARPA funds to, I thought, anticipatedly put a deadhead at every town hall in all the towns, within Grafton County.
They're designing that, but half the towns will be through by the time they're done with the design. Actually, that's why we're meeting with them, to see. They're talking of spending $3 million on a design that I think will be redundant.
Well, that'd be great if you can clear it up and build out in a very smart and equitable manner.
We all want the same thing. I mean, we're like you are. I'm an elected official of the co-op, so we're not here to trying to make money. We're trying to serve our members just as you're trying to serve your residents. So
I assume I voted for you, so I'm sure you'll do us right.
Yeah, Mr. Hill.
Could I, just to make one final point, I kind of caved pretty easily to this option as opposed to the other option, because I think sort of saying the same thing, but the takeaway from that I got from the Grafton County Commission, Broadband Commission report was that they were there as a resource to the towns, and that they would have to,
Yeah.
the town of Plymouth would have to take the initiative to
Go from
apply
there
for the
to-
grants, that they would then provide the resources to help you write, or to, whereas the co-op's halfway down the road already, and I look at this and I think, we look at this and say, let's go with the option that's halfway done.
And the co-op has proven to be able to do it in a couple of communities in the state.
Yes.
It's not theoretical. It's real.
Yeah. So, thank you again.
The only problem is though, so their deadhead is gonna be on the fairgrounds. The Broadband Committee was gonna deadhead at the town hall. Town hall is actually closer to my house than, just saying, that's all.
But Fairgrounds is closer
to his house.
There we go.
Thank you.
I was just going to ask one other question about timeline. The paperwork we saw, it said this is an 18-month project, but it also stated that you were starting in Plymouth first. Does that mean that Plymouth finishes before some of those other towns? When do you anticipate some customers coming online?
As early as the end of this year.
Okay.
There are a few moons that have to line up, and it's always it's always a bad idea. I get kicked whenever I make a promise. But
Yeah, projects are complicated. Lots of things could happen, but that, generally you're thinking that by the end of this year, you might see some customers getting lit up.
Right.
Is it dependent upon our letter?
No, but it helps. The letter, obviously, we're not going to build if you don't give us the letter, but it would be very helpful. And your citizens own the co-op. It's not, you really are asking the state to make an investment in your citizens' business.
Should probably have a motion for that letter, by the way.
Okay, let's make a motion to write that letter of support for the co-op to bring the broadband services in. Who's that going to?
For a
I can
grant.
follow up with some details, but it's going to be the state Business and Economic Development Administration, the BEA.
Okay, that.
But I'm happy to follow up with Kathy and give her some detail for the letter.
Second.
Any discussion around that? All those in favor?
Aye.
See, that was a quick
No one was
aye.
opposed. Yeah, it was easy. Figure we just formalize that. Well, thank you both for joining. Very helpful, and we appreciate all the work you're doing.
Thank you so much. Have a good night.
You too.
And
Sweet.
All right, so in front of you, you have a insurance and indemnification project requirement for any RFPs and RFQs that go out. We've never really had a formal policy, but now that it's been brought to our attention that anything, according to RSA 44716, anything $125,000 and more should have a bond, or will have a bond, a performance bond. So that's the reason this policy requirement was written. Also, liquidated damages, that is really at the judgment of the town. So we have spoken to town attorney. We've also spoken to one of the engineers that we use quite a bit. And the numbers that you see in here for liquidated damages are their recommendations. So basically, it kind of lays out the insurance that we need from them, how we go about getting a bond, what kind of project it is, how we become additionally insured. It's a protection for the town. This initially started from the insurance company, went from them to the attorney, the engineer reviewed it. So we've had some pretty top, people that we rely on for information, review this information. Just gonna help us in the long run. It can always be revised. If we need to, we'll bring it back to the board.
All right, I'll make a motion that we accept this new insurance indemnification, oh my God.
I said the same.
Indemnification project form to be adopted by the town of Plymouth.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I get to talk right.
So at the last meeting, the board asked, and I didn't have all the answers that you needed for the caps for property liability and also for workers' comp. And there was a concern that, you know, is our premiums going up because we're having more incidents? So I sent an email out to Sally Tanner. Sally is from Primex. She is one of our individuals that we have a conversation with and ask all the questions. The questions that I had, the workers' comp increase 10% over last year. Should that be 10% overall, meaning over the 3 years, or every year? She advised it is for every year. Same with the property liability, but that is a 9% over each year. Bear in mind that the town of Plymouth had received premium holidays for their workers' comp and their property liability over the past few years, but we still have to budget the entire amount each year so that we have a gross amount that's in there. As Scott indicated to the board when he was here, they got the entire state now for property liability and workers' comp. There really isn't anybody out there.
No other option but them, huh?
Right now, there is not.
9% annual increase, that's a real kick.
That is for budgeting purposes only. Hopefully, we won't see that type of increases, and we'll get a premium holiday each year as well.
Yeah.
Points out that the cap is a max, which we knew what the cap was. And based on performance, other factors, members within the cap agreement experience various increases and sometimes decreases. It's not an automatic increase, it is a cap guarantee. So you can say you're not willing to, if this is what you're thinking, I'm not sure, everybody's kind of looking at me, I'm not sure what you're thinking, I can imagine what you're thinking, but you can say, okay, we're not going to sign these caps. Potentially, you could see 12%, 15%, 20% on your increases. I mean, that's the danger that we take. We're saying a max, 9% or 10%.
That makes it much better.
Yeah, more palatable.
That makes it much better.
Well, it doesn't,
Doesn't say it's gonna raise that much. It just
Right.
says
It's
that-
a
It's not gonna.
if we can keep our workers' comp claims down, that's huge. We have a very active safety committee right now, or joint loss management committee. That's gonna help if we can keep our claims down. We got equipment on the road that's out there sometimes 24/7. You just gotta be very careful.
So you're looking for a motion?
I am for both of them.
I'll make a motion to accept the Primex resolution for property liability insurance and a separate motion to accept the Primex resolution for workers' compensation insurance.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna ask you to read the two resolutions into the record. This is, property liability.
And let's take them one at a time.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'll read it into the record. Resolved to hereby accept the offer of the New Hampshire Public Risk Management Exchange, Primex, to enter into its Property and Liability Contribution Assurance Program, CAP, as of the date of the adoption of this resolution, and to be contracted contractually bound to all the terms and conditions of Primex Risk Management Pool membership during the term of the Property and Liability Contribution Assurance Program. The coverage provided by Primex in each year of membership shall be then set forth in the coverage documents of Primex. I attest that the foregoing is a true copy of the resolution of the governing board of the town of Plymouth adopted on 6/29/2022.
7.
Or was it? Okay, 27. Sorry. Hard to read. So there is the first resolution.
With agreement for me to sign.
Yes, it's in there.
Yep.
So,
Part of your
second on
motion
that?
is for him to sign? For
Uh,
Zach to sign?
And I'll amend the motion for Zach to sign.
Thank you.
Okay.
Second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
So the second one I read is,
The workers, nope. Look for another resolution.
oh, okay,
There it is.
okay. Second resolution is for the workers' compensation. So I make a motion to accept the resolution as read here. To hereby accept the offer of the New Hampshire Public Risk Management Exchange Primex to enter into its Workers' Compensation Contribution Assurance Program, CAP, as of the date of the adoption of this resolution, and to be contractually bound to all the terms and conditions of the Primex Risk Management Pool membership during the term of the Workers' Compensation Contribution Assurance Program. The coverage provided by Primex in each year of membership shall be set forth in the coverage documents of Primex. I attest that the foregoing is a true copy of the resolution of the governing board of the town of Plymouth adopted 6/27/2022.
I'll second.
With me as the
Oh,
signing
with Zach as
Oh,
the signature.
and to approve and to have Zach as the signing authority.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Signed. By the way, I forgot to hand this around.
You wanna sign this one?
No, he has the
Oh, he
originals,
has the
I
original.
believe.
Okay, good.
Grace Garvey,
Thank you.
update on solar contractor interviews.
Like up there.
It's up to you.
What's that?
Oh, come
Wants to
visit
come
us.
up here. or-
Right.
If you prefer to sit.
Just get up to the mic so we can all hear you.
Yeah. Okay, so real quickly, because I know it's getting later and later. So we sent out an RFQ to a lot of solar contractors in New Hampshire. We had a deadline for the RFQ May 15th. We received 3 responses. Ironically, that's what we received in 2017 too also. One of the responders we felt didn't qualify right off the bat because they didn't address some critical pieces in the RFQ. So we boiled it down to 2 interviewees. We had interviews on June 8th with Revision Energy and Barrington Power. And June was kind enough to forward us a criteria assessment that she used for another project, and so we kind of adopted that criteria assessment for this particular project. And to make a long story short, we had a really good couple-hour meeting, as Bill can attest to. But it boiled down to the criteria being weighted towards Barrington Power. And there were a couple other decisions about going with them. We had a vote, and we would like to basically from here enter into a memorandum of understanding to work with them. I don't know what the process is from here. I drafted a memorandum based on one that Kathy had lent me for another project. And Kathy took a look at that today. And aside from her being the signature, is that the right word?
Signatory.
Signer.
Signatory.
So I guess we would love the board's blessing to enter into a memorandum of understanding with Barrington Power. And then I need to figure out if it's us who sends it out, the Plymouth Energy Commission, or the board, and who approves the verbiage of the memorandum.
Do you have the MOU, or do you have?
It's right here.
It's in your
Oh, okay.
I do.
So look a little
Thank you,
deeper.
Kathy. I know I did it today, and I don't need to curve you a ball.
Okay.
For a ball so late. Thank you. There it is.
There's the qualifiers. Lots of ifs.
We know that.
Yeah.
And Barrington Power knows that, and they're not new to entering into working relationships with towns and other entities with a lot of ifs.
I have to say the two respondees, I found that they were very qualified, and I support the decision of the Energy Commission. Did a good job evaluating it, and I think we'll be happy.
Is that your
with our firm.
motion?
Feels like a clean process so far, but no, that wasn't a motion.
You making one?
I could make it. I think I could make one, but so I move that we accept the MOA or memorandum of understanding to contract, or are we contracting with them or what with Barrington?
Well, we're really kind of working with them.
Establishing a working relationship.
Yeah, it's not really
It's kinda
contracting or
loosey-goosey.
engaging.
That's why it's a memorandum of understanding and not a
Okay.
contract.
All right, so I move that we enter into an MOU with Barrington Power of Barrington, Nashua, New Hampshire, I guess, to work with us to develop the multiple tasks that were identified by the Energy Commission.
Second.
Neil got that one.
I'll yield it to Neil.
Any discussion? Do we sign this? 'Cause
That's
this
what
is a
I need to
draft.
know.
Does it need to be signed?
I don't even know that this is done. I don't feel like it's quite done, like, 'cause
All
I'm
right,
one of those
so
persons that
Sell
needs to
past
get
the
it.
close, Grace.
What's that?
So don't sell past the close.
No, you said to enter into a memorandum. You didn't necessarily say this one.
That's true.
Okay, that's even more loosey-goosey, but
You're happy with this one?
I was happy with this one.
Appreciate your efforts.
Well,
Yeah, I'm happy with this
I
one
get
as
that.
written.
Yeah.
I'm good with it.
This one?
I'm good with it as
So
written.
who signs it? Yes. Oh, sorry.
To be signed by town manager,
There you go.
Catherine Lowe.
Okay.
Town manager. Sounds good to me. That was my only discussion item, so we put that into the amendment. You're still good with that second, Neil?
I'm happy.
Cool.
He's happy.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Seeing none.
Questions of us?
You're doing a good job.
Good work, Grace.
Back to you. Thank you.
Neil, you are on the agenda.
Okay. Many moons ago, I served on the North Country Council Regional Planning Agency, and at that time, we felt it was an issue that we should pursue the New Hampshire Department of Transportation to put in a safe crosswalk on Tenney Mountain Highway in the vicinity of the entrance to Riverside Landing, which has a sidewalk. But we don't have a sidewalk, and that's why they wouldn't do it. So we do have a sidewalk which terminates just beyond Burger King, and it needs to be extended to the intersection in order to get the state to move forward. In the years since I was on the North Country Council, the pedestrian traffic has increased tremendously, and there are It's very dangerous to try to cross that road. The intersection is kind of a wild place, and the Conservation Commission voted to request that the board investigate what it would cost to engineer a sidewalk and what it would cost to build a sidewalk.
From Burger King to
We have
the intersection.
we have an engineer, and that's where we are at this point. The Conservation Commission feels very strongly about this. And so that's my request tonight, that we propose a cost estimate on building a sidewalk.
How is it that the Conservation Commission took up this issue?
Well, they have trails that they can't reach or they can't get to. And that's just one issue. There are a number of people involved with the Conservation Commission who would like to be able to walk to Riverside Landing or get to the other side of the road, period.
So Neil, can you just say that again? You want a sidewalk from?
We want a cost proposal
Yep,
from our engineer
yep.
To construct a sidewalk from Burger King to the intersection at Riverside Landing on Route 25, Tenney Mountain Highway.
So you want a crosswalk or a sidewalk?
We can't
Sidewalk.
put the
From-
crosswalk
So
in,
the
it's a
sidewalk
state
currently
highway.
stops right at Burger King, and
Right.
it doesn't continue to the light.
Actually, it's on the wrong side, too. You need to go over to, in order to, hit up with like McDonald's sidewalk, you have to be on the other side of the road on Highland Street, so. it would-
Wow.
Well, you're still asking for a
You
way
could
to
sidewalk.
access that.
You could sidewalk all the way to Tenney Mountain and then do 2 crosswalks,
Good, yep.
rather than add an additional crossing down the street.
Yep.
Once you have that sidewalk,
But I think step
Yeah.
1,
yeah,
continue that sidewalk to Tenney Mountain Highway.
you have
Joe?
to have another sidewalk on the other side.
I mean, ideally, it would be nice to have a sidewalk the entire length of Tenney Mountain Highway, all the way to Walmart, or all the way to the traffic circle, whatever, but
Yeah.
that's longer term. Joe,
So, I understand what Neil's trying
could you
to
put-
accomplish there.
Joe, could you approach the mic or come up to the table, just so that the YouTube has your comments?
So I understand what Neil's trying to accomplish, but and I could do that for him. I could work with our engineer and come up with a cost analysis, which is fine. But one of my concerns is that if we do that, that we make sure the state's on board. Because what I don't want to see is for a sidewalk to be put in place and then have no direction when you get to the other end, so it's not complete, and that's a very tricky set of lights. So when it comes to pedestrians, in my opinion, you got to do a whole different study to figure out what you're gonna do. Because I don't think just a regular crosswalk's gonna cut it there. You're gonna have to have incorporate it with the lights and the flashing things and all that happy stuff. So I can work with our engineer to get him those costs, but I personally don't want to see it happening until the state's on board with a plan, because I don't want the town to have a liability, put a sidewalk in, and then people show up at the end and don't have any direction to go with it.
Do you think
That's
that-
my concern.
Do you think
I
that
understand.
liability is any greater if we add the sidewalk than it is right now?
Well,
Well, yeah, because you're leading people to that intersection, and then they don't. What are they going to do? we're inviting them to that intersection.
That pretty much puts the
Today-
onus on the state.
But today we leaded them to a dead end.
Yeah, but it's not on Tenney.
We're leading them past it.
But it's not on Tenney Mountain.
Doesn't that sidewalk pass Burger King?
No.
Well,
It ends right at Burger King. So, like, for me, if I was gonna do it, I would extend that to CVS. So then you have a landing point there, and it actually has serves an ending purpose for the time being, until you get the state on board.
the town
Get you
can
that
put a
much further.
crosswalk on Highland Street. But the state made it clear when I was on the North Country Council that they would not consider putting a safe crossing in on Tenney Mountain Highway until we had a sidewalk.
I think any way you slice it, it makes sense for us to get a cost estimate on what
Right.
this would
Right.
be.
That's what we're asking.
If what we're talking about right now is purely a cost estimate and not moving forward with a project, I think that makes sense.
Thank you.
So, I mean, and I think, you know, if we're gonna be waiting a long time, there's no reason why we can't try to extend that sidewalk to CVS, so it has more of a purpose and a landing point, like an ending point, so people can cross over to CVS, and at least it makes more sense than just dead ending, you know, in the middle of nowhere.
It's a long traverse for somebody walking over to CVS, but
I'm all for it, going the whole distance, but I'm just, my thing is I want to make sure that the town considers where they're at with it before they put it there. Make sure that they have a plan once it gets there.
This is my neighborhood, and I see a lot of pedestrians out there. And it's-
Especially on weekend mornings.
So-
Grace, do you have a comment?
I do. Is that okay?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's appropriate. I thought, Neil, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought there was a conversation about something changing at Smith River Road, right? I mean, Smith Bridge Road, right?
There is.
I thought the conversation was about extending the sidewalk up there and doing that in collaboration with DOT. Am I totally wrong
It's
about
a
that?
state right away. That's
So not along
town.
the, you can't do that along the state right away?
well,
We
you're-
can't
if,
do that.
if we were to utilize like a trail from like the gardens, the town, you know, the gardens to, you know, if ultimately if there's a trail that is able to at least get to Riverside Landing, then you'd have to exit by going up to hit, you know, either the crosswalk to the other side to get to an area where you can cross over to, you know, Smith Bridge. I mean, it was kind of convoluted, and also there was a talk about developing a trail out behind, you know, Town West Road and going up somewhere there, which may be a better place to put a trail. And that would give access, you know, to those trails as well.
And just for the record, the Plymouth Energy Commission has been talking about, with the Conservation Commission, about this project and teaming with them because we want to reduce carbon footprint, right? So that if there were a good sidewalk and you could cross over, push a button, get a pedestrian light there, then people can jump on that trail system, get to Smith Bridge and recreate and things like that. So we're actually in conversation with Conservation Commission to see if we could help out.
And as Zach pointed out, it'll be good just to put a sidewalk all the way the length of Tenney Mountain Highway so that you could walk to
Yes.
Walmart or wherever versus taking your life in your hands type thing.
Because people are doing it today.
Yeah.
The sidewalk would just make it safe.
Yeah.
While I'm on the Tenney Mountain Highway, and she mentioned Smith Bridge Road, I called up the district engineer in Enfield for the DOT, who's responsible for Tenney Mountain Highway, and he informed me that no superior had mentioned anything about our concerns when we wrote our letter to the commissioner.
Okay.
He had no communication. I was the first person that brought it up.
I thought he was CC'd on that letter, Neil.
No,
Letters
maybe
in the
the,
folder, there's
maybe
a-
the chief engineer was, but he sent me to the district engineer who handles Tenney Mountain Highway, because he didn't want to talk about it. And he is the one who's responsible for Tenney Mountain Highway, and he told me that no superior had mentioned it to him.
I did notice when I came into town this morning that the state did a really good job of coal patching sometime. Must have been on Friday
On
or something.
Main Street.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've been after them for a while, and it really was shocking that they didn't take care of it during bike week, but
Yeah.
at least we got it done for now, you know, with 4th of July coming, so we're in a better place.
Main Street's much better.
Yes.
It's better.
Small victories.
Yep.
Are we good? Joe, are you good to work on? Okay, good. Josie Ewing, I don't know if she's
She is not
okay.
going to
Not
be present.
appearing.
I talked to her earlier about warrants and how they can be just placed in the selectmen's sign folder. She didn't actually have to have it on the agenda. But just so you know, this is a warrant that gets created every year. This is the first time it's been presented to the board in this manner. It's warrant for unlicensed dogs to the Plymouth Police Department. Usually, or in the past, it's been just an email over to them saying these are the dogs that we have. It is important to have it signed by the selectmen. There are about 200 dogs right now in the town of Plymouth that are unregistered. And every dog, once this warrant is signed, they get a $25 penalty in addition to their registration fee that they have to pay for their dogs. So I don't have a list of those dogs, but that's what this warrant is all about. And the PD has to report back to the selectmen by 8/31 of how they're doing and what they've collected. And usually your administrative, or in the past, your administrative assistant took care of this. It really is something that should go directly to the police chief so that you see it. It's unlicensed. You're gonna actually get a warrant, which is a letter from the selectmen saying, here's a list of dogs that aren't not registered in New Hampshire or in Plymouth as they should be. You're gonna issue a summons or $25 penalty for every time you serve somebody. There are people who are gonna say, I don't have my dog anymore, or I don't live in Plymouth anymore, or, and that's how we clean up our lists.
I can tell you the Holden strictly enforces that.
Oh, yeah. So does an Ashland.
And Romney.
Because I've gotten a call before.
I've gotten a
How do you
penalty.
actually know about the dogs who are unregistered?
We
Were they once registered and they weren't
Yes.
renewed?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Or we
Or
get.
if they get caught.
Or we get vaccines from the veterinarian saying they live in Plymouth. And
I'm just reading the language in this. It says, pursuant to New Hampshire RSA 46616 entitled Returns, you have until 8/31 to return the warrant with a statement as to whether all the unlicensed dogs in Plymouth have been seized and held under the provisions of this
yeah,
chapter.
if they don't pay the penalty,
They don't pay the penalty, then
can take
police
the
department
dog.
has
There you
to
go,
take
seize
the
dogs.
Dog patrol.
I'm gonna get 'em.
Good place to tie him up behind the police
That's
station.
right.
You didn't know that you're also the dog catcher in town.
It's a revenue opportunity.
It is a significant revenue. It is a lot of work.
That's a lot of work.
But hopefully, there's
Yeah,
she's several
there are notices.
notices that have gone out, but people still try to ignore her, and this is the best way to deal with it now.
Well, there's two things that come out of that whole thing that benefit that is, you know, you have a stray dog that has a tag, and so then you can figure out whether it has rabies, its rabies shots or not.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is if stray dog, then you can look at the tag and
Get it back to its owner.
to the owner.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
so.
Yeah, it's in the
really a
in the best
benefit.
interest of the town and the
Right.
dog owners and everybody. Yeah, it's
Yep.
still a lot of work.
Otherwise, that dog has to be taken to the pound.
Right.
And it costs you guys money.
Yeah, we don't have a dog officer, it's just that.
So what do you do with the dog?
Put him in the back seat.
Better get some more food. Mhm. So
It's
that will
right.
be in your
It's a lot of dogs.
folder.
Sitting service.
to sign.
Okay.
Better check and see if my dog's registered.
That's right.
You better do it.
She'll be in trouble, boy.
I suspect
to
you
get
would
a
sign
job.
this for a few days.
I mean, Josie didn't leave us a note to say that you were in trouble, Bill, but you never know.
Yeah, she didn't provide us a list for a reason.
We didn't get the list. Sure would have been
If I
amusing.
see you at my door, I'll know what's up.
Ted, you're going to talk to us about operational metrics for police.
I am, and I have a handy dandy spreadsheet, and I know that Kathy has given you hard copy. What I'm gonna do,
So I just had a, not to interrupt, but I had a quick question for a request. Is that, Deputy Chief Buffington actually did a lot of research and a lot of work on this. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to make it tonight. I was wondering if there's any way we could go over this maybe next meeting, so we can attend it. He did do a lot of research and the stats, and I have a lot of, we just got a copy of this morning to review, so it was pretty short notice, and so I have a lot of questions about this, and I know Deputy Chief Buffington did a lot of work, and I just don't want that to go to waste.
we can not share it today, I guess.
Want to defer for 2 weeks?
We can table it.
Table for 2 weeks? Okay. Yeah,
I
that
just don't
sounds
want
good.
all of this hard work to go to waste.
No, I,
I think it's just, there's a lot of beneficial information. and stuff.
has any of that research you done, has that been forwarded along to Ted just to help
We gave it to
contextualize it?
Kathy,
I only had that one page that had to do with your department.
Yeah, I'll get with Kathy, make sure that
Okay.
she's got it.
Perfect.
So do you have a copy of the spreadsheet yourself?
I do, I got it this morning.
No, I meant electronically.
Oh, I do not. I can send it.
Because the electronic one has is filtered, and Kathy printed it. She didn't print all of the content.
Oh, yeah, I definitely don't have
Yeah,
that.
I can give you a copy.
Yeah, if you don't mind, so we can review it, go over it and see the different metrics. I appreciate it.
So that's
So
still
you're-
tabled until July 11th.
So put it on the agenda for July 11th.
Yep. Okay.
Perfect. All right, we already talked to PSU. Committee reports. Mary Ann, Village Water and Sewer.
Sure, we actually meet again tomorrow. They talked about the solar array credits that they have. They have 5, I believe, solar arrays at the treatment plant. They have enough credits now. They're gonna try and sell them back to a third party. They're gonna talk to New Hampshire Co-op if they actually wanna buy them. So good source of, it's pretty cool if you go out there.
So why are they going to sell? They're going to sell the arrays?
No, they're gonna sell the credits that they have.
Oh, the credits.
Yeah, sorry. They're still working a lot on cybersecurity, which is another interesting, scary project. If that ever happened, you know, they, if that was ever breached, a little scary there. So, they did talk, they're finally, water and sewer is now actually considered a first responder, where they weren't before.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. It kind of makes sense. If you don't have water, sewer, not a pretty place to live. So, talked about PTO, second vacation together. That was about it. It was a short meeting.
Okay. Planning board, Neil?
On June 16th, the planning board met, had a hearing regarding the new car proposed site redevelopment. And the engineer from Horizons Engineering was present to explain issues. One of the primary issues was stormwater, which they have addressed. The plan is to start work in the spring of 2023 on Town West Road. The planning board gave them conditional approval with stipulations regarding that there be an as-built plan required. Signage and lighting is to be decided. The oil and water separator has to be approved. They need to correct their boundary line setback, and they can start construction no later than December of 2023. It was unanimous conditional approval. There was, after that, there was a discussion regarding site plan review, revisions, administrative updates, general best practices, stormwater guidelines, and improved clarity to applicants in general.
Okay, Campus Community Council, still nothing until fall. No school meetings have happened, or for the elementary school anyway. I don't know about high school. No, high school. Conservation Commission?
Okay, we had a meeting on June 21st, summer solstice. We had extensive discussion. It was a long meeting. The Commission is considering purchasing a special laptop computer which has applications for GIS software and mapping, and could be benefit to the planning department. And they decided to purchase a computer for $1,042, and they're going to buy a 1-year GIS software license plan. We had extensive discussion regarding the local government program, and what they wanted to know if the town actually has a license for GIS. And I think Cartographics Associates was mentioned. They're primarily concerned about updating the natural resource inventory and doing LiDAR site-specific wildlife action plan. Let's see, they want to communicate with the planning department, and they made a motion to contact Joseph to work with the computer that they're purchasing and share it with the planning department. They also voted to have me talk to you about the sidewalk at Burger King and Tenney Mountain Highway, and they want to discuss pursuing a grant for construction at some point. And they also had a complaint that we did not have wireless capability at our meeting. So something must have been turned off somewhere, and that created some difficulties. So I want to make sure that the next time we have a meeting, we have wireless capability. We voted to purchase lumber for trail repair, and there was a discussion about developing a public information campaign regarding invasive species plants, such as Oriental bittersweet and Japanese knotweed, and there's many others. And the situation's getting a lot worse. The committee would like to solicit public support and participation in this endeavor. And it's all approved.
Thanks, Neil. CIP committee, we met on Friday of this past week. We've completed at this point the first pass inventory of everything, and so now we're kind of moving into the next phase where we're thinking about planning, not just the inventorying of the capital, but how do we plan the improvement. Anything else of importance from that meeting that I'm missing, June, since you're here?
We might have to adjust our meeting time.
Yeah, we might be shifting.
More of an administrative thing, but yeah, in some ways the next hardest work starts to try to take it all and figure out kind of the financing and investments, and
Prioritizing and funding and planning, the planning part of the capital improvement plan.
Marcus did a nice job getting information to us.
They did, yes. And just for ballpark numbers, this is obviously nothing finalized, but once we inventoried everything and then just spread that over some time, it looked roughly like capital expenditures to maintain everything we currently have is roughly $750,000 a year, which is, I think, higher than we had hoped, but you know, we have a little bit of a reality there that we now. That's without roads, right? That is equipment. So, you know, fire trucks and skid steers and all those sorts of things. It's not roads. It's got anticipated building expenses. It doesn't have, like, you know, there's no new emergency management building or something in that plan. It's pretty
just maintaining what we have.
Maintaining what we have with known maintenance needs, which isn't to say we know all the maintenance needs that this building has, for example. We don't have that. One of the things the prior meeting we talked about potentially doing was using some of the money that had been put aside for capital improvement planning to do some building assessments to find out what's the life expectancy on the roof of the library. What's the, you know, when does the fire station need to get painted? You know, we just saw painting is $15,000, so those are real expenses you have to plan for on the buildings you have. So anyway, more to come on that as we start to think through it and start doing the planning part. LRPC.
The annual meeting is Wednesday at the Mojalaki Country Club in Franklin. And there's going to be at least a tour of the new water park that apparently is just about, you know, in use.
Is that open?
That's what I kind of don't think so, but I think it's like well along. I think there's like an observation. They cut the ribbon? It's open.
Okay.
There you go.
So yeah, they have like an observation area that they opened earlier that a lot of people were showing up just to watch the canoeists.
You know what time that thing is on Wednesday?
It is. That's a good question. I think doors open at 5:30, something like that, and we have a meeting initially, I believe, and party time.
Parks and Rec Commission, Ted?
Nothing until their meeting later in July.
Parking Committee?
Nothing.
Economic Development Committee, still in stasis. Energy Commission?
There was an Energy Commission meeting, and we ended up, evaluating the responses from 2 companies, and we signed an MOU.
We just got to hear about that.
Yeah.
Advisory Budget Committee?
Nothing.
Town Village Water Sewer District / Town Infrastructure Committee? Nothing? Okay. So that's committees. Personnel. Ann.
All right, so I know it's been
policy
a
item.
long night. So it was brought to my attention after we had revised the personnel policies that our sick and vacation time, we have consistently allowed people to borrow that in advance. But the actual verbiage of allowing and how you allow people to borrow that in advance up to the end of that year was never in the sick time policy, but it is in the vacation time policy. So my attempt here is just to update the policy with current practice where we allow people to borrow in advance. Say they get sick, they need to be out of work. They can borrow up to what they have on the books at that time in advance. So that was my intent. So I'm just looking for an approval to amend that policy.
So that they can borrow up to that year's allotment.
Mhm.
So, I don't know, what's a typical allotment?
96 hours per year,
Okay, and what does a person work in a pay period?
40 hours.
So each pay period is 40 hours?
Mhm.
And if the remainder is supposed to come out of their check, what if they borrowed more than they were making their final pay period, final check?
And I would probably have to come back to the board and say, what do you want to do? They've been overpaid by 8 hours, 16 hours.
So I would just revise it to say up to the number of hours in a single work week, or something to that effect, so that you never.
I don't know. I think the idea of someone gets really sick in February.
Yep, that's what we're.
If they got to be out for 2 weeks because they're really sick in February.
We're back in when we were having people be out for 10 days due to COVID. It was
COVID,
mandatory.
It was a lot
They
more.
had to
Yeah,
be
it was
out.
easy to run into that kind of problem. I don't know. It doesn't. I would lean towards addressing that particular problem when it came up.
Okay, I wanted to ask it.
Which might be, you're talking negative, like, oh, and I did this. It came out that they owe us $50, and we're like, okay.
Right.
Or
But
we're like,
it is a benefit that we are offering now, which we didn't have, I guess, anything.
you've been doing it
written.
all along. You just
Yes.
hadn't actually formalized
It
it.
was brought to my attention that the same wording was not in the sick policy as it is in the vacation policy. So we have now adjusted that.
No motion needed.
No motion needed for personnel policy adjustment? All good?
Okay.
So you're accepting the policy as amended?
You have verbal consensus. Public comments. Let the record show, nothing from Frank.
Oh.
Just a quick
He's the
thing.
last of the public.
We have a PERLAC meeting tomorrow night. Just saying.
Where are we gonna meet?
We're going to be meeting at the community room in the library.
Okay.
Watch out for the ice dams.
At what time? 6:30?
6:30.
And with that, we conclude all public items. I assume you're about to make a motion.
Yes.
Will you include this in that motion?
This.
Personnel. From our
Yes, sorry. I'll make a motion to enter non-public in accordance to RSA 91-A3:3, number 2, A, personnel, and C, reputation.
Second.
Neil, your vote?
Aye.
Marianne?
Aye.
Zach, aye. Bill?
Aye.
Ted?
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Joe, do you want to shut that door when you go out, if you would?